Hey guys, this is a DigiCue Blue. Deep inside there, which you can't see because of the light, there's a little computer chip with a blue casing on it. Maybe that's why they call it a DigiCue Blue. Maybe they decided to call it a DigiCue Blue and so made the computer doohickey blue to match. Maybe it's a big coincidence or a big conspiracy. I don't know. The universe is full of mysteries, and this is just one of them. So what this is a stroke training / measuring device. You take this and you cram the computer doohickey down in there, and you put it over the butt end of a cue. I'm just using my Jacoby because it's got a skinnier butt. It fits on all of my other cues. It's just a little bit easier to put on and off with this cue. Just put it on until it doesn't go any further. And this configuration, well, first of all, I really like the form factor. I have one of these things called, I think it's called like a QMD3, and it Velcros onto the cue. I don't like that. I will get into that later. I have another thing. It's just like an iPhone app where you duct tape your phone to your cue, and then it displays stuff. Don't like that either. For pretty much the same reason. I really like the form factor of this. This is meant to work with an app, an iPhone app in my case. I guess there's an Android version as well. When I first bought a DigiCue Blue, when they first came out, probably over 10 years ago, I had a work phone. I was not allowed to put apps on my phone. So all I got out of my DigiCue Blue back then was I'd shoot a shot, and if it felt like I did something wrong, it would vibrate. There's no feedback, of why I sucked. It would just vibrate and know that it did suck. It wasn't particularly useful for me back then. And frankly, I kind of forgot about it. That original DigiCue Blue is gone. It's under a couch somewhere, I'm sure, thanks to my cats. It was sold by OB-Cues. And it was really weird. Several years ago, like on AZ Billiards, there was like a couple of things that, Tony Chohan is going to be sponsored by OB-Cues. And I texted Tony, I'm like, dude, you're going to switch cues? You're not going to shoot with your Southwest anymore? And he's like, yeah, it'll be different, but no. And then, like, I don't know, the next day or 35 seconds later, whatever, OB-Cues went out of business. Okay, so whatever you did, Tony, don't do that with any more sponsors. Either the original guy or a different guy or a completely different guy, somebody has decided to start making these again. Even though OB-Cues is gone, they're making these again. And that's what this is. This is a brand new one. The old one, like I said, is under a couch. I don't know if it's the same as, the Generation 1 version. Certainly, physically, it looks exactly the same. I don't know about the app because I never got to put the old app on. The new app has some things, and this video is not really meant to be like a review. Just a little bit of review. Mostly, I think, like a wish list. I like this form factor, and it's 2024 now. There are a lot of things that could be measured and reported on and things like that maybe they couldn't do back then. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. So, what this thing is it's got, like, a dozen different things it can measure. It can measure how straight is your stroke, how long did you pause, when you follow through and pause, how long did you do that? How long did you pause back here on your final backstroke? How much acceleration did your stroke have? All kinds of things it can measure. And one of the problems that I had with this is the same problem I had with, a person telling me, you suck, Dave. Well, it doesn't do me a whole lot of good. Tell me why. If I don't like a person telling me things like that, I certainly didn't want a little computer robot thing telling me that. And it really wasn't even the computer robot thing. It was whoever programmed the computer robot thing. They don't know my game or what I'm working on or anything like that. Not nearly as well as I know it anyway. And so without the app, it was kind of tough to even really like the thing, except I do like the form factor. With the app, I can turn off one or two or all of those things that it monitors. If I turn them all off, then it's kind of useless. But like, for example, right now, I'm going to turn it on. There's a little button. I held that in, and it vibrated to tell me that it's on. All I'm working on right now is pausing back here to the end of my final backswing for at least 2 seconds. So in my app, I turned everything off except for that. I said I want a minimum pause of 2 seconds. So if I go, it just vibrated because I didn't pause for 2 seconds. Then if I go like this, that time it didn't vibrate because I had enough pause. Kind of cool. It gives me feedback on what I want feedback on. There are things that are like the default settings. There's like a basic, an intermediate, and an advanced setting. Again, just programmed by whoever set up the thing. And they're not necessarily for me. But if I want to just work on one thing, absolutely, it can be great for me. And I like it. I like it for that reason. But it's not perfect. There's some other things I wish that this could do. I hope that this is a successful product. My understanding is the guy is also coming out with a ball, a cue ball called a DigiBall, which has got all kinds of electronic doohickeys and stuff in it. I can see the DigiBall and the DigiCue working well together. Ebony and ivory, whatever. Maybe they're going to have DigiChalk at some point, but I haven't heard about that. But I think I mentioned it's 2024. Technology's come a long way, and there are things that this thing could measure now that it couldn't measure back then. They're probably just ideas that have come up, like some of the ones that I'm going to come up with right now. I said, I'm trying to measure that this pause is 2 seconds or more. That's the setting I gave. If I come along and I pause for 115 years, as far as this thing is concerned, that's perfectly fine. I think there should be a range. Right now, there's one setting. As long as it's this long of a pause, you're good to go. It wouldn't be that hard. Probably just a software change. I want to say, I want to pause between 2 and 2.5 seconds, for example. Should be 100% doable. And I would welcome it. Because, if you pause too long, you can run the risk of, overthinking the shot. If I pause too long, I can get what I call disconnected from whatever practice strokes and, getting a feel for the speed and all that I did. I can get disconnected from all that. And ideally, at this point, I should start over again. And I would like it if I pause for too long while I'm down here doing this. I'd like to vibrate. Hey, you just paused too long, Dave. I think that'd be cool. One of the things that it measures is tip steer. I use backhand English. I've mentioned that 1,000 times. Well, my backhand English is not completely swervy. I'm not one of those people that swipe the English on. It's not perfectly straight either. And this thing will vibrate if I have that setting turned on. It's nice now that I can tell it, don't check that. I don't care about whether or not you think I swerved the tip or not. It's pretty cool. I think that it can measure speed. I don't know, a little accelerometer or something in there. And I think, because it knows how long this is, how long this pause is, and it can probably figure out how long it takes to get from here up to the ball. It knows about the moment of impact as well. get a speed thing. Did I hit this shot like that? Or did I hit this shot like that? It vibrated both times on both those shots, by the way, because of this pause really long enough. That's perfectly fine. I would like to see speed get measured. And again, not just a minimum speed or a maximum speed, but both. If I want to say, hey, I would like to try to hit all my shots at between 5 and 6 miles an hour, for example. I'd like to go tell it that. I'm the pool player. I know what I want. I don't want the programmer guy telling me what I should want, because that's the kind of thing you just make me want to put it in a drawer and not pay any more attention to it, like happened in the past when I could not use the app. I think it could measure twist. If you watch people, I watch people play, and I see people a lot of times that just getting lined up on a regular shot, they're just turning it, not for any particular reason. I think just till it feels right. That's not so much the twist that I'm talking about. I'm talking about, well, the example I'm going to use is Truman. Truman, he twists his wrist at the moment of contact. So, whereas if I'm going to put bottom right on the shot, let me give you a little bit of a cut. If I'm going to put bottom right on the shot, I will come back and try to stroke forward fairly straight on the new line, backhand English. Truman and players like him will take that a little step further and twist at that moment of contact. You gotta see, if I twist my wrist in, my tip just moved to my right. If I twist my wrist out, my tip just moved to my left. They do that at the moment of contact to give them that little bit of extra English or a little bit of swiping English. I'm not coordinated enough to do it. If I was, it would be like that for right English. It would have been like this for left English. I absolutely feel like that's something that could be measured, as long as I could turn it off. I wouldn't want it to yell at me and tell me, oh no, you twisted, you suck, when maybe I twist on purpose. Maybe I'm working on that. So, yeah, I would love to see it be able to do that. I think you could also do number of practice strokes. I think it ought to be able to tell the difference between that and that. And then again, minimum and maximum number. If I tell it, hey, I like to work on being more consistent and have either 3 or 4 practice strokes in every shot, for example, and just set those in there. And then if I only have 2 practice strokes, it could vibrate. It could tell me in the app. Or if I have 185 practice strokes, it could vibrate. It could tell me in the app. Even on the shots that I do correctly, I don't think I mentioned this, that I do correctly according to what I've told it to check, it still saves it in the app. Whereas before, the only indication I would have that I did this correctly would be if it didn't vibrate. Like that right there. That's all I would get. But if I had the app running, it could tell me, how long was this pause? We know it was more than 2 seconds, but how long was it? Very cool stuff. There's a lot of potential for things like this for a pool player that just wants to work on something, and they don't want to go to the pool hall and ask their friend, hey, you'll time my stroke for me and all this stuff. You just get something like this that can kind of do it for you. It's pretty cool stuff, I think. I think this is another thing that it measures. How long did I pause here at the front of my final backswing? How long did I pause back here? I've already talked about. How long do I pause when I follow through? after contact. Very cool stuff. I think it is a neat product. I think it has a lot of things that could be improved in it. And I really hope that, like I said, he sees a reason to do that. People buy, he's making money, whatever, to put in some development effort, make some tweaks, change some software, and be able to measure a lot more stuff, report on a lot more stuff. And I mentioned before that I had a thing that straps on the end of the cue. The battery's dead on it, but it straps onto the middle of the cue. You're supposed to leave it pointing straight up in the air and shoot with it pointing straight up in the air. That's kind of tricky. Like for most people, like I said, they get down, they start twisting stuff till it feels right. Or people like Truman that are always twisting stuff. It makes it a little bit tricky. One thing that guy does, the QMD3 does, is I can take that data and get it to my computer, put it in an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. I don't know that there's any way to do it with this QMD. I think the data is in this thing and it's on the phone. It was just funny. I just did that and it vibrated. But I don't think there's any way, well, none that I know of, to get it into a PC. I think that would be absolutely phenomenal if I could do this and keep all that data for a year, not just on my phone, but put it on a computer. I'm a computer guy. I like nerdy stuff like that. And look and see, hey, you know what? In 2024, I averaged a second and a half on this backswing pause. But in 2026, I averaged 2.5 seconds. Whatever it is, just to have it and know what's going on. Find out over the years my length of my backswing. That's another thing it can measure. Has changed. It knows when it hit the cue ball, so it knows where the cue ball is. And it knows when you're pausing back here on your final backswing. So it knows this length. And if that changes, that certainly affects timing and speed and all this kind of stuff. So many things that just something as simple as this little form factor here could measure and report. And could be very, very useful. And that's going to be it for this video. Appreciate it. And thanks, guys.